for their Middle Rio Grande collaborative program. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the program, it is a collaborative partnership between federal, tribal, state, and local government and non-governmental organizations. There are currently 17 signatories, which includes the Corps of Engineers. It was formed in 2002 when various water managers and users signed an MOU and started working more collaboratively to solve water resource challenges and impacts to our threatened and endangered species within the Middle Rio Grande. And the main mission is really to protect endangered species, primarily to avoid jeopardy to those species, but also hopefully to recover those species and their critical habitats while also protecting existing water resources, existing and future water resources, I should say. So in case you're not familiar, here I threw up this slide right here to show you the program area. There's many different definitions of the Middle Rio Grande out there, and this is how we define it within the collaborative program. It's the Middle Rio Grande watershed. Oops, can you hear me? Right, maybe. Including the Chama River, the Rio, and then the Rio Grande from the New Mexico-Colorado border down to Elephant Butte. And we have 5 main focal species: the Rio Grande silvery minnow, the southwestern willow flycatcher, the Peco sunflower, the yellow-billed cuckoo, and the New Mexico meadow jumping mouse. So we have all of these great signatories doing really valuable work within the Middle Rio Grande. And pretty early on, it became obvious that we needed to have some sort of centralized and independent storage for all the collaborative program activities, strategies, priorities, data, and products for both the signatories themselves, but also for the public to access. And so with funding from the Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Geological Survey maintains the collaborative program's web-based portal and management system, really to provide that storage and that access and use of the information by signatories and the public. So today, Laura is going to be talking about the portal, giving an introduction to the portal and reviewing what's on the portal. And then we want to provide some time there to allow for some input about how the portal might be working for folks and how it might be able to be improved or needs to be improved. So we'll have a little bit of discussion at the end. So with that, I can hand it off to Laura. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Hira. I will go ahead and share my screen so we can all look at the web page together. So my name is Laura Labriola, and I've been working on this project for about 1.5 years now. It's been within the USGS for a few years now. And we have been the ones to kind of develop the web page and then also kind of update it as it needs to go. So a big revamp last year in April. Not sure if y'all had followed along or had noticed that just one day it was just a lot more different. And then over the past year since April, small changes have been made to make it more accessible to people who might not visit a lot or make it easier for people who visit the page a lot. So we're looking at the front page right now, and it kind of gives a little bit about the program as well as easy clickable icons to get to kind of important pages for people who just want to know about the program as well as just to access easy things like the program library, which we will get to later, a data page, the interactive map, a newsletter, an annual report. We also have this announcements banner, and we put announcements that we'd like to share with everyone. And if there are new opportunities within the program, we can also put that on, but then as they expire, we can take them off. We also have the calendar and events right on the homepage, so it's kind of easy and organized for people to see. And so as we look on to the navigation, this is where really all of the important stuff, maybe that other people that are more integrated want to really check out. And so we have the species first because of the Endangered Species Collaborative Program. And we have a homepage for that where we can look at the overall species that are in this program. And within here, we can click on each page on here. So I can click on them, we can get an overall view of what it is. We have the heading of the species. We have a little blurb about it, and then we kind of have quick information for people who are interested in seeing this. So we have species information, the scientific name, species abbreviation. We have a documents, and this is important as we get into resources later. We have this program library where we can see all of the literature and publications and reports in an easily searchable view. And then we have a resources page, resources section right here. And then as we go on, we have description, distribution, recovery efforts. And a lot of the work that were put into these species pages were reviewed by experts in the field. And so most of these pages have been looked at and scrutinized, and we're always open to more information and more critiques. If y'all have been browsing and see something, please feel free to email me or Hira or Debbie, and we can make sure we get everything that we need to on these pages. So it's important that, as Hira said, we kind of have these centralized websites that we can all kind of use this for future purposes and kind of get on one page together. Some is kind of jumping around for species pages, but most of them pretty much have that same outline together. So now we have the About Us tab as well. So there is like this centralized page for it too, where it kind of lays out everything that's in the About Us. Quick tabs, we have the program overview, our signatories, guiding principles, plans, the Rick Billings Award, Engage with Us, and then the 3 committees that we have. And so we can kind of see the outline of what each page is from here. And we can also go ahead and click on each page from here. So I'll go ahead and click on Program Overview. So we have the species highlighted right at the top. We have our mission statement, background, area of interest, governance, and then the organizational structure. And within this, these are clickable links as well. So if you want to go check out the executive committee real quick, or the, CMC group, these will all link to those pages as well. I'm just thinking, yep, and then here we go. So not only are we able to access these links from hyperlinked on different pages, but we can go to this About Us and also access it in many ways. So we're hoping that by having it in other places, it's not only repetitive, but you can get to the same place in multiple ways. We have this Engage with Us tab, which is also new. It's just ways for people to be engaged with the collaborative program. Part of this website, right, is to kind of get out there, kind of be a centralized place. And so having this Engage with Us page was really important for us to include, where it kind of points out important things as well that sometimes it's easy to pass over when you're just browsing the website. I can go back to this About Us page. We have the list of our signatories, and this is kind of in an icon. So it's nice and easy to see. Guiding principles, under that is our goals and objectives. We have our plans right here, so it's easy to figure out where they are, see the plan, the long-term plan, the biennial schedule, and then the 2023 work plan. We also have the Rick Billings Award where we can say, write about the winners for that as well. And then the Engage With Us, be everyone over, and then the committees, the 3 committees are available. And people aren't hyperlinked, but they're where they where they come from kind of is. So I think we kind of went over the species and about us, and now we can also move on to the data page. So we have a home page, landing page for the data where we can see each data set that's available. We have the habitat restoration, Rio Restore, Hank and Omar vegetation, and we have these for multiple years. The Rio Grande Silvery Minnow monitoring, we have all the data for that. River Eyes, we have River Mile, 2002 and 2012. We have River Reaches. We have the US FWS Rio Grande Silvery Minnow rescue data as well, and then the BEMP data as well. So we could go ahead and click on the habitat restoration, and it leads us to a data page where you're able to get a little bit of a write-up about what the data is you're looking at, as well as download the data. There's also a link that we can view it on the interactive map, and then that will open a window that has an interactive map. We have the data contact as well, metadata, and then the zip file to download everything. So not only do we have these like view data on interactive map available on these data pages, we also have an easy to click button right on the top of the navigation. We also have Hink and Omar vegetation for each of the multiple years where you can download each year you would like. We also have it where you can view it on the interactive map. And then we have these screenshots of different places of where you can see that data on the interactive map, a little snapshot. We have the Rio Grande Silvery Minnow monitoring, where it's collected part of the Bureau of Reclamation. And most of these pages are similar outlines to the other ones, and that's great for consistency. It's easy for people to look around and find things consistently. And so we've seen that it's helped with being able to locate stuff that people need. And so it's pretty similar for the rest of them. And then we've recently included the BEMP data as well. So we've gone over the species, the about us, the data, and now we can go over the interactive map as well. So the interactive map had recently gone through a revamp as well. And just to keep up with the times and update the software. And so some of that data that you've seen in that data slide is available to see here. So Hank and Omar, so we can turn this on and zoom into the map. And search around for it. I think I'm in the wrong section, so I'm just going to turn all of them on because they are organized by the different segments. All right, so now we're seeing some. So we're able to click on it, Hank and Omar, and it has the Hank and Omar kind of symbol, and then main canopy, cottonwood. So we can click around and see the information that we're trying to see visually on a map as well. We have the river reaches. So there's two ways we can view the river reaches. We just have one blue color so that we can see the whole thing at once in blue, or we can look and it's multicolor. We also have this to download. And then if we click that download link, it will bring us to that data page that we looked at over here. So everything is very interconnected to make it easier to find and download and kind of go back and forth between. We have NRCS monitoring locations, and that was something that was important for us to put on there. It's not available on the data page because this is like a map service, but it's really cool to see just in line with everything else. And so we have that Rio Grande silvery minnow data, the population monitoring, the water quality, USGS stations, the NRCS monitoring locations. We have the river miles that are available on the data page, river reaches, river eyes, habitat. We have habitat restoration and critical habitat. Let me turn off some as well. And so I think the advantage of having this seminar is to get y'all's feedback that you would like to see on this map or things that you would like to see on this webpage. And so we are looking, I was going to try and find some habitat restoration. So here we have it, where project name, the river mile, the reach, the target species, revegetated, floodplain manipulation, restoration feature, and the acres. And so part of the next phase of this website is that we would like to advance some of these features to see, maybe years, other projects. And so people can use this interactive map as a source to look at what's something else I can do, or what has been done over here, and use this as a resource to fuel the science and to create something new. So the interactive map, and then I see a hand. Yes, please ask away.
Hey, Laura, it's Casey with MRGCD. This looks really great. I did have a question about who is standardizing the symbology for the habitat work. Is that Chad? My question being, if MRGCD or another collaborative partner has a project that we'd like to add to this web map, obviously we don't want a bunch of different symbologies for the same type of practice. So what is the process for submitting data, and what's the protocol for that? Thanks.
That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking. What we've been doing is that the USGS handles the data. And so the USGS uses an ArcMap server where we upload it, and then we have developers convert it to JSON files where it is uploaded onto here. So all the data comes through the USGS for the most part, and then it gets, so yeah, the data that you're seeing that is on here that is also available on that data page is being stored at the USGS, and then we're displaying it on here. So for symbology, that would be something that we would take care of. And so we would try and make that all consistent. I see your hand, Hira. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Casey. And in terms of the process for submitting, you can submit it directly to me, and then I can work with USGS to have them upload it. Right now, the way that they're funded is that we have sort of a limited number of data sets that can be included each year under their existing or current interagency agreement. And we will be I'm going to be presenting some of this information tomorrow at the executive committee meeting and trying to get some feedback from the Cloud Program Executive Committee in terms of what their priority is for this coming year. So certainly that would be an opportunity to weigh in on what type of data sets you'd like to see, and then we can include that in their upcoming interagency agreement, which begins in March. So it'll be from March this year to March next year, and we'll have some of those data sets already set out as what they'll be including in the next year, but we'll also build some flexibility into their agreement that they can include various types of data sets as they come along.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Hira. Grace, I think I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Just to follow up with that, so the ISC funded GSA to develop the Rio Restore data set that you see, and represents most of the habitat restorations projects, if not all of them. We tried to make sure we got all of them in there. And we do have a work order still open with GSA and CHAD to integrate, all the components of the restoration projects into it. So I don't know what maybe we can talk more with the GS about how that's gonna continue, how that's but at least for right now, yeah, we've got that flexibility. So I'm assuming there'd be some kind of integration as well into the Excel spreadsheets and stuff that Chad developed. Is that right? I don't know. I mean, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, one thing, this is Chad. One thing I was going to mention is we do have an updated version of the Rio Restore geodatabase that we could, I guess, bounce over to Hira so she could provide it to the USGS. If what Casey had are some new habitat restoration sites, and if he wanted to email those to me, we could incorporate it into this revised version of Rio Restore if that's helpful for folks. And that way, this newer version that we're submitting to Hira would also capture, say the sites that Casey's wanting to add to the database.
Thanks, Chad. I'll touch base with you offline. Thanks.
Awesome. That was a really great communication with a lot of different parties, which is part of the driving force of doing this seminar, just to show everyone what's available, try and get some data into one place, and being able to communicate with each other. So awesome. And then as we reach the end of this overlook of the landing page, we're going to have some time to talk about, as Hira said, like what we would like for the future. Yeah, what data sets are really important, so we can work that into the proposal and then go ahead and update it on the webpage. So we took map, and now that last page, the last navigation tab, the resources. And so it's kind of a long list of different resources. So the program library is a huge one. So as we wait for it to load, we try our best to keep this page up to date with publications. And then as we see things that aren't available or things that we need to add, we add them as quick as we can. So we can search by a keyword or phrase. We can search by a date. And there's also an ability to just filter the options that we have. And so if we want to just see an annual report, we could go ahead and click that, and all these annual reports will show up. Agendas as well. Or if we want to see a publication, and then we can go to species, it will start kind of filtering out things. So this has been a really big effort that we've done so that we can organize publications all together and add as that we see them. This filtering option has been the big part of it, but we could also just do searches. Want to search for something? Had something in mind? I need to
Do like-
Hira's last name.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have Hira Walker on here. We have a few publications. What was yours, Hira?
So there, you'll see down there where it says like document type, species group, organization, but there are all these keywords that we've also put into this search engine. So we can just do something like water quality or restoration. There's a whole number of other words that can be used to search.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point, Hira. And then from here, we could also, so we have species right here. So we know that species, it was in that water quality search. And if we just want to see one species, we can go ahead and use those filters to filter it out. And you can search. So right here, we see like a little, I think that might be like an apostrophe error or something. So as we see these little things, this might be the dash didn't get processed correctly. We can update those as we see them. So yeah, this program library can be really utilized for a bunch of different uses. We have a section for the newsletters as well. And we have a flip book to use that and you can zoom in on it. There's also, I think there's a hyperlink, so you can click on links as you need to on this as well. And then we have past newsletters available as well. Annual reports are available as a page and all the previous annual reports as well. YouTube channel. I don't know how it's pretty updated. And then we have events. And so this is also the column that we saw on the homepage at the beginning of this session, where we have these 4 science symposium, collaboratory workshops, and collaborative seminars. And we're thinking of also updating the naming conventions of these too, but all of these are available right on this website. The science symposium, we have the collaboratory, we have workshops available, and then collaborative seminars. Awesome. Lastly, we have these funding matrices. Yes, Hira.
Hi, Laura. Can you click on one of these things like collaborative seminars just to show that it's not just the information, I mean, it's not just the description of it, but there's actually a link to the videos or any associated documents. So it's actually a really great resource for finding out the information that's presented in the past.
That's a really great point. We have I clicked on one and there was a view PDF option. And so it has all this information about the presentation for this seminar. It has the author, the date it was presented, the abstract, and it has the video link as well. And so that goes right to this YouTube video. And it's about an hour long. So we were able to post that on the website too. Thank you for pointing that out, Hira. And then a hyperlink of all the slides. So that's a really great resource too. Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out, Hira. And then if we did want to go back out, I think this workshop was postponed, but previous ones where you can kind of see a little bit about it. And then for this collaboratory, the agenda and the presentations are available as well. And so, yeah, clicking these links, I'm pretty sure takes you to the information. And then the YouTube link is embedded within it. So it's easy to click play and look at these presentations. We have the funding matrices as well. So I see my computer revving up. Where we can, there's a Excel file. I'm not sure exactly how well updated this has been. So it says last update August 2023. It probably needs to be updated a little bit more. This was work that was done right before I joined. So it was a really big undertaking. And I know you can filter the funding emphasis on here. So it's something that we have been able to work on, but how updated it is, it's a little August 2023 for right now. But it is a really cool matrix to see what kind of funding opportunities are available. And it's right on this website. And then we have this hydrology resources where it hyperlinks you to the U.S. Drought Monitor. So easy to see for New Mexico, and it's updated. So this is updated weekly. So the next one will be for tomorrow, and it'll be uploaded automatically. So you have the New Mexico Drought Monitor, the 3-month outlook, the river basin storage. Awesome. And all of this is current. And then this no-tell interactive map. And that's already hyperlinked into here. So you can look at it straight from the website. You don't have to go to an external website. You can just stay right on here, this landing page. So I'm reaching that kind of 30-minute mark. I think we want to do 30 minutes of looking at the landing page, and then to have 25 minutes to talk about the future of it, what people would like to see, what they have liked, things that need to be updated. So I will go ahead and open the floor. Thank you guys so much for being a great audience.
Great. Thanks so much, Laura. That was really great to see it all laid out like this. And we're often in the weeds of it, but to see it as a presentation like this, it's impressive how far we've come and what's on the website. So we'd like to open up the floor. I know that, like, for example, Casey had some questions, and those are the type of questions that we'd love to entertain and discuss. If you've used it and you're having difficulty with it, let's talk about that. Or as Laura went through this and you noticed that there was a gap and you thought, oh, wait a minute, it'd be so great to have this data set or a link to this information. Please do weigh in on that as well. So just raise your hand and let's get started. We can also sort of see the discussion if folks are feeling a little bit timid at this point. But I was just thinking, like, Laura, when you go to the resources page and you go to, let's just say, the links, where you have the drought monitor, the 3-month outlook. I'm wondering what other links we might want to have on this page. I know that the larger collaborative program has supported different webinars from outside entities on different types of data sets that are available. And we can always beef this up. I don't know if anybody has any ideas about what we could add here, for example.
It sounds like everyone's really happy with the landing page.
I was going to suggest that I think that Reclamation has a couple of helpful websites. One is their ops dashboard that's in that they built through Power BI, and then And then their Albuquerque water operations website is also helpful and has it kind of redirects you to a bunch of other useful hydrology pages.
Great, thanks, Chad.
Mhm.
I mean, adding these type of links and having it all in one place is pretty easy to do relative to some of the other functions on, on the website. So we want to make sure that we can have not a one-stop shop, but something close like that. If you want to know more about New Mexico and relative to the river and the floodplain management, other factors like that. Yes. Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Chad. I see the link there in the chat. Any other suggestions of some data sets that could be linked here? That might be data sets produced by signatories or folks outside of the collaborative program?
Hey, all, this is Debbie from the UNM. I know that there is a lot of data on the New Mexico Water Data website as well that we might want to look at in mine. I'm just looking at right now, and there is the new riparian habitat map that Natural Heritage did for game and fish, for example, that we may want to link to, stuff like that.
Great, thank you. I'm writing that down.
And the other thing that I could think of that's, kind of on the hot presses right now with the state is the water planning and the regional water planning. I think they're moving forward with rulemaking right now. So I'm guessing that pretty soon there'll be a pretty active planning groups. There's actually proposed 3 different sections of the Rio Grande for regional water planning groups, including the Middle Rio Grande, Lower Rio Grande, and the Upper Rio Grande. So we have links right now that I could send, but if we want to have that in the in the hydrology or events or something like that, so that people know when they can go to meetings and when they can participate, because it's much of what we do is going to be incorporated into regional plans.
Great, thanks, Grace.
And then the Bureau, of course, is the Water Data Act and all that stuff going on too. I wonder if there's with species and stuff like that. I don't know how much species stuff there is or how we best link with fish and wildlife stuff, because they've had a lot of 5-year reviews, and they've had a lot of reviews for listings that have occurred for fish species, and now the monarch butterfly is up for listing. I don't know if the collaborative program wants to figure out the best way to link to updates on that, on those sorts of things that might affect what we do along the river.
Yeah, Laura, you want to go to the species page? Like, just pick any one of the 5.
Yep. Jumping mouse.
So we have been, see underneath the resources, Grace and other folks, you'll see right there, it says biennial review from Game and Fish, species status assessment, the Bison-M, New Mexico Department of Game and Fish, I think is still the one that's heading up Bison-M. So we do link to the state and federal wildlife agency documents, and we can definitely have those reviewed and make sure that they're up to date.
Oh, no, I'm not thinking about ones that we already have on, but ones that, so we had the Rio Grande Shiner is now
Oh, I see what you're saying.
being sued. We had Rio Grande cutthroat trout, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just as things come up, I'm just saying as far as a resources, maybe, I don't know if there's a good page to link to on Fish and Wildlife on, or if there's, you guys have a, used to have like kind of what's happening sort of a thing, like latest news or something like that.
I think Jenny was on. Jenny Davis, I think she's online right now. Do you have any suggestions there about
Not
species
really.
that might be listed?
We don't have really, I don't think on the new version of the website there's like a what's happening or a news thing.
Okay.
They changed the website on us a couple years ago, and it's very cut and dry in what we can put and what we can't put. But we could have it linked like to the ecos page of each species. But otherwise, most of what we have is kind of the like what we put in the newsletters for the collaborative program, or what we used to put in the newsletters for the collaborative program at the end of the year.
Maybe
It might be,
go ahead.
so it might be easiest just to put a link to the Federal Register where you can search for the species that you're concerned about.
Yeah, it was just that's
Or-
exactly what I was going to say.
Because like Jenny was saying, our documents aren't often held in one place. So
Yeah.
there would be a long string of links to go through. But, you know, the Federal Register is going to be the most up-to-date thing when it comes to 5-year reviews and species status assessments and things like that.
Is it
Yeah.
possible then, I guess it could be in the newsletter that comes out from Debbie, and then it'd be kind of varied. But it's something to consider, like having something that if somebody comes to, it's like, hey, there's, you know, a comment period, for instance, on the monarch butterfly is May 1st or whatever time it is, right? I don't know how, how useful that is for any of the other signatories to be seeing. I mean, some people watch these things, each of the agencies watch out for these things, and other signatories don't really have that ability to do that. So I was just curious. Okay.
And to add to that, Grace, we will be putting out those bi-monthly newsletters again.
Yeah.
We just have to get that back on a schedule for that.
Right. So you could see that maybe being part of something you would put in there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do this in different ways. Under species, we can have a separate page which is proposed, species or something like that. That would just be a catch-all page with some like links to the Federal Register, some of the Federal Register documents, like you were talking about, for the monarch, for the shiner, things like that. Another thing, and yes, it'll be in the newsletter, and that will be on here too. But I think it's on the homepage. Laura, can you click on the homepage for me? We have program highlights. Let's see. Oh, announcements. So we have announcements, and we usually put under announcements like we're putting like see the newest newsletter. But we can also highlight some things there too, like comment period open for such and such a species, something like that. So if that would be helpful, we could highlight those there, pull things out of the newsletter and highlight them specifically. Good, thank you. Any other thoughts folks might want to share? So for the interactive map, there's other things that I would like to see on here. Like I just would like to see, I'd like to know where all the groundwater wells are because so many different projects put in groundwater wells. But is there any other data sets that are coming to mind for folks that they would like to see compiled across all the signatories?
Are you talking about just wells within the river corridor, like
Yes.
piezometers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Not groundwater wells.
Yeah.
entirely.
Sorry. Yeah. Piezometer ones. Yeah. Sorry. So all the groundwater wells. Yeah. The piezometers. Different projects by the Corps, different projects by contractors, installed them. I know walked through the river and seen old ones, and I think before we fund some projects that have been proposed to establish some more sites, it'd be nice to know where they've already been established. So that's just something I was thinking about off the top of my head. But I don't know if there was other data sets that folks would like to see. We're talking about water quality data. Any other data sets that would be nice to compile across all the signatories?
Casey just put in the chat, site monitoring and adaptive management submission tab. This will allow partners to update the status of a habitat project on the web map. Status could change from functional to not functional, as well as the types of AM actions taken at the site. This would be a voluntary data set, but will help us all understand what sites are being actively managed and are functional.
So for a little more context there, I think it's great that we can have a clearinghouse of sorts that shows where we've done all of the work. I think it might be more useful for partners that are trying to maintain or commit resources to either new sites or just maintaining those existing sites if we know the frequency of adaptive management actions and monitoring. And if there are sites that are clearly not getting the attention they deserve, that could help direct different agencies to committing funds to get those sites up and running, rather than just looking for new sites all the time. So that might be something that we could consider here.
You're saying sites as in localities on the ground?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So explain that. How would this look a little bit, Casey? So just walk me through it. The idea is that you would submit a site and see if it's already had work done there.
Yeah, let's start by, if we could just zoom into, a habitat feature on the river and just see what that looks like when we pull up kind of a data set. Because what I envision is, ISC, for example, has dozens and dozens of discrete habitat projects that they've taken up and down the river. MRGESCP has our fair share. All these different partners have their share of habitat features. But as we all know, these features, they come into activity and being functional, and then they can very quickly move out of being functional based on what the river is doing. And so on this page, when you have this pop up here, it would be great, I think, if you could have another another line there that says, you know, update adaptive management or update, you know, monitoring, and then that could connect you to a very simple data sheet where you're filling in, you know, who's the agency that did the monitoring, what was the date, what was the scope of the monitoring, is the site still functional, yes or no, and then that would kind of help everybody understand the status of all of these sites beyond just the initial work that's been put into them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because truly, I think that we could, you know, we're the collaborative program. We're supposed to be coordinating. We do coordinate, but there are these instances where we really don't know who's doing what on the ground, and it takes those one-on-one conversations to say, oh, are you doing fuels reduction here? We were thinking about doing this there, and it would be nice to have it centralized in some way.
Well, it could be potentially misleading, right? If we show all of these polygons where, you know, there's air quotes habitat, but if we don't know the functionality of that site anymore, you know, we're looking at a bunch of sites that we don't know how productive they are at this point. So it could just be a valuable way for us to either independently as agencies or collaboratively, you know, update the sites that we have information on, so that everybody knows, okay, this area was recently monitored by MRGCD or Interstate Stream Commission. Here's what they found. The site is no longer functional based on what they found. So now we know maybe this is a spot where we need to commit resources.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Chad, in his very giant spreadsheet, these things are minimal as to what is being captured in the restoration projects. So I think there is has there been fish monitoring? Has there been vegetation monitoring? All that kind of stuff in there, or at least there's spots for it. The question is like, yeah, how does that get put into the database, the Rio Restore database? And also, I would have to say that maybe not just with the interactive map, but you know, maybe we could consider a map that shows where monitoring is occurring and what kind of monitoring, you know, by, like you said, different agencies or whatever, what's ongoing, you know, what time frames have those sites been monitored, where are the reports, linking to the reports and things like that. So it's a good suggestion. I think it would be a project unto itself to do that. That the collaborative program can consider doing, but I don't think there's a project in place to do that yet.
I can propose that, you know, maybe when I talk with Chad about the strategic outfalls, which is the data set that I want to get integrated into the web map, Grace, maybe I can talk to Chad about a beta of those outfalls, since that's a fairly small number. We could try that out and see how that goes. And that'd be great too, because then partners like Audubon, they could also do, you know, monitoring updates onto those sites, you know, because they're doing much broader, you know, avian species updates and things like that. So that could be another way for our partners to plug in.
Yeah, and it could be separate than just the habitat restoration physical. There could be a monitoring component to the maps.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because we also, you know, we're funding different surveys. So where are those avian transects? Just all of that type of information about what's going on out there to get us on the same page. And when you look at an area, say, oh, hey, they did fish sampling there recently, silver minnow fish sampling, or they have a water quality station there. Or, you know, I think that would be really helpful. And I just wanted to mention that I put in the chat a link to another website, to a portal for the Upper Mississippi, and you can see they work very well together. as a collaborative and share all of the data that are collected in that area. So you can take a look at that and see if there's something that we want to adopt from their website. Debbie, I see that you have your hand up.
Yes, and I apologize if this is something that was dropped in the last year, but I know the last time that we talked about the collaborative program portal, one of the items on the wish list was to make them this map mobile friendly so that you could be out in the field and be able to say, where am I on this map, and see what's around it. Has that happened, or is that dropped?
I have not heard of that proposal.
Okay.
In the year and a half that I've been part of this program. I don't know. And Laura is also fairly new, but maybe she's heard of that as well. Oops, Laura, you're on mute.
Hi, y'all. I know that there's this button that can take your location.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like it was maybe done.
I do need to make sure that it is mobile friendly, but yeah, there's that little button that can find your location.
Okay. Because that might actually be some good input from folks on this call right now. If you're on the field, what information would be useful to you to have on this map if you're out at a site visit?
I think being able to pull up what we have right here in front of us would be extremely valuable, right? What was the name of the project? What was the purpose? What was the target species? All those kind of site-specific project elements would be extremely helpful.
Okay, great. And we'll have, for those of you who are participating, we're going to be present at the collaborative programs tomorrow. We can continue talking about this and fleshing out some ideas that then I can write up and send out to signatories to review before we renew the interagency agreement with USGS. So we're coming up on the hour here, and got a lot of good feedback, several pages of notes here, and so, really appreciate all of everyone's participation and ideas, and thank you so much, Laura, for such a great presentation. Before we leave, I just wanted to make sure that everyone's had a chance to provide some input or feedback and speak up. So I'm just going to open up the floor one last time and see if anyone has any last thoughts they'd like to share. Okay, thank you. And I did see that Debbie is recording this presentation and we'll be putting this presentation up on the website. So there'll be a website presentation up on the website for you to look at if you want to go back and review some of the components of the website. And it looks like, yeah, then Laura put the link in the chat, and we can send out some of these links that were in the chat out to the group as part of this meeting invite. Debbie, is there anything else you wanted to mention in closing?
No, I guess just if you have any thoughts afterward, feel free to reach out to any of us. And Chad just put something in the chat. Joel Lusk had requested general landmarks on the map during a call a couple of years ago. That might be helpful. We have many of the commonly referred to landmarks on the river ice map, and I can share. Yeah, so if you have anything that you think of afterward, just feel free to reach out to Hira, Laura, or me.
Great.
Okay. All right, thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.